All right. Well, moving on to UFC. They got a big show coming up on pay-per-view on Saturday night. And you got the Fight Pass prelims, you got the Fox Sports 1 prelims, and you got the main event, Demetrius Johnson defending his flyweight title against Chris Cariaso.
I think that's Cariaso.
Cariaso, I always screw that name up.
That's okay. Well, you know what? You could also say that to some people, the main event might actually be Conor McGregor and Dustin Poirier, or it might be Eddie Alvarez and Donald Cerrone. These three fights are about equal in stature at this point.
Yeah, I think that the Eddie Alvarez, Donald Cerrone fight, that's my main event. But, Demetrius Johnson, I always enjoy watching his fights, so I'm looking forward to a great night of fights. But we'll start at the top with the flyweight title defense. Johnson is really going to have to go to war here to keep his title.
I'm not too worried about it because the one thing DJ has over every single flyweight in the division, even our former guest of the show, Ian McCall, is his speed. Ian McCall could get a draw out of him, but at the same time, DJ with everybody else, he's just quicker, gets in and out faster, and lands some good hands when he gets in there. So I know Cariaso is a fearsome striker, but I don't think he's faster than DJ. I've yet to see anybody who is.
Well, what about, okay, we've already talked about it, so let's get your predictions, Stevie. Eddie Alvarez and Donald Cerrone.
I would strongly suspect that Eddie Alvarez wins this fight. I say that being as much as it might be unprofessional to be a mark for a guy, I'm probably a mark for the Cowboy. I've been watching this guy fight for a long time. He's got a great personality. He's a hell of a fun guy to interview if you get the chance to do it. But I don't know, with him going toe-to-toe with Eddie Alvarez, I can see him going lights out.
I would actually pick Cerrone in the upset here.
You know what? I would have no problem with that. If Cerrone wins and keeps his spot in the lightweight division and maybe even moves up a notch or two, he's one of those guys that I would really love to see get a title shot.
I just get nervous with guys jumping ship in their first fight in the UFC and it's a high-profile fight. I mean, if we're talking with our friends over at MMA Odds Breakers, I would parlay Cerrone with DJ and Conor McGregor in a three box. Why not?
Yeah, but I don't think this is going to be like a Hector Lombard type deal. I don't think he's going to come over and shit the bed in his first fight. I think he knows what the stakes are and how much UFC has paid to get him and how long they've wanted him in the promotion. And he's been waiting for this fight for a whole year. He's ready.
I think when it comes to Lombard, that's more of a Jekyll and Hyde scenario.
Yeah, well, and he's done a lot better ever since his debut, so.
Yeah, exactly. Conor McGregor, Dustin Poirier. I mean, we go from a good fight to another good fight.
This one is worth it just for the smack talking alone, because Conor McGregor talks better smack than just about anybody in UFC right now, and that includes John Jones and Daniel Cormier.
Yeah, it's,
You're at a loss for words because Conor McGregor has taken them all.
The thing about McGregor, he's easily hateable on one side of the spectrum, but on the other side of the spectrum, you can't wait to see what he does next.
Or what he says next.
And we'll talk later on in the news about what happens when you have an explosive scenario at a press conference or what have you, but we'll get there. When it comes to Conor,
here's what I have to say about it. I'll just jump in right here.
Yeah, go ahead.
He can talk all the shit he wants until somebody shuts him up, and he's 15-2, and he hasn't lost a UFC fight yet. So, yeah, you know what, Dustin Poirier, if you want to be the one to shut him up, go ahead and try.
If he wins this fight, if Conor McGregor beats Poirier, it's one of those things where he talks the talk, but now he's walking the walk. But the featherweight division, I mean, he beats the number 5 guy, so he'll obviously jump up maybe 2 spots. You have him fight Ricardo Lamas, maybe Frankie Edgar.
You know what? If McGregor beats Poirier, really beats him, knocks him out in the first round, give him Frankie Edgar.
If McGregor beats Poirier decisively with a knockout, what do you think he'll do with a live microphone?
He'll have some fun.
I think Poirer would have some fun too if he wins decisively. He could really talk some smack post fight against McGregor and all this stuff he's been saying. You know, like, you guys been doubting me, da 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 da, and just really cut a promo. But I'm praying that the person who wins this fight, regardless of who it is, if they ask you who you want to fight next, say a name, please.
Yeah, don't just say I'll fight whoever they give me. I'll whatever Sean Shelby and Dana White and all the Fertittas have to say, I'll do. Don't give us that pat answer.
No, that's a stock answer if I ever heard one.
Yeah, don't leave it up to Joe Silva. Call out somebody.
Absolutely. And the main card kicks off on pay-per-view. There's another fight before that. Tim Kennedy and Yoel Romero.
For the love of God, I hope Tim Kennedy can win this fight because I've picked against Yoel Romero every single time, and I picked against him again here. Just once, I'd like to be right about that.
Yeah, it's, I like Tim Kennedy as a fighter, but he's gotta win. He's gotta win this fight.
He's not that bad off. I don't know where you're coming from. He's won 6 of his last 7. His only blemish is Luke Rockhold.
Yeah, I expect him, if he wins this fight, to be higher on the card. But I'm looking at it now, where else do you put Kennedy in this? Because the 3 fights ahead of him are blockbuster fights.
Yeah.
I think his next show that he's on, because we always say the A show, the B show, they're always the same set number of fighters on each card, right?
Mm-hmm.
I want to see Kennedy in the 2 spot of a card or a 3 spot. I think he's underrated on this show.
Well, you know what I would do, and this is just me playing matchmaker. I'm putting on my Joe Silva hat here.
Okay.
If he beats Romero, and Romero is a ranked fighter and he's a ranked fighter,
why
not give Kennedy the rematch with Rockhold? Because he's already ranked ahead of him in the UFC middleweights. Let's see them tear it up again.
You want to do that again, eh?
Why not? Why not give Kennedy that chance? Because he can't advance in the weight class without getting past the guy at his level or higher, so you might as well, and it might go differently this time. I mean, it did go to a decision. It's not like he got knocked out.
Yeah, I was about to say that. Yeah, it's, I would.
And it was one of the biggest rated fights ever on Showtime.
Yeah, I don't know, like.
You're not a fan of the rematch, but okay, who's he gonna fight if not Rockhold? If Kennedy beats Romero, everybody ahead of Rockhold, you're talking Machida, Belfort, Sousa, Silva. I mean, are you going to jump him over Rockhold to fight those guys?
If Kennedy wins?
Are you going to jump him over him to fight one of those guys? If I'm Luke Rockhold, I would have a problem with that.
If Kennedy beats Romero decisively, and we're talking decisively.
Like a knockout.
I want him against Belfort.
Well, you know what? They might actually do that now since Weidman's got a hand injury.
But if it goes to a decision or it's a late round stoppage, something like that, you give him Rockhold. But if he gets decisively, he gets on that microphone and says, I want Belfort. You give him Belfort.
Sure, why not? I guess, but I like that last Kennedy Rockhold fight enough that I want to see him do it again.
Well, kicking off the main card in Vegas is Amanda Nunes against Kat Zingano.
Have you seen the workout photos from Kat Zingano?
Yes.
Man, that's impressive. There's not an ounce of fat on her anywhere at all.
No. She's definitely ready to go.
Yeah,
and
she could probably make the weight right now as we're recording.
Oh God. She could have made it 20 minutes ago.
Amanda Nunes is in trouble.
That's the understatement of the show right there. Holy smokes.
Yeah, maybe that's the ambulance coming to get her.
Yeah, probably, or they're coming to get me, one of the two.
They're coming to take you away to the funny farm where life is happy all of the time. Funny
farm just down the road, actually. Yeah, no, I get that. Zingano, she's one of those fighters that she always brings it every time. We always see fighters that don't really, but I don't know when it comes to the Rousey Zingano fight. Like, it always seems like Rousey's dance card is always full.
Mm-hmm.
So, when do you see Zingano and Rousey?
You know what? It's the same thing you've been saying about some of these other fights where if she wins impressively and decisively, you can jump her up there and say, go ahead, let's do this.
But she's number one.
But that's what I'm saying is there would be no other number one if she wins impressively, because if it goes to a decision and it doesn't look great, then Miesha Tate could move up into that number one spot, because sometimes...
No, not again, not again.
I hate to say it, but you do see that sometimes when top-ranked fighters come out and fight flat or they lose, then the person behind them moves up to number one. And I know you don't want to see that fight again, but that's what's on the line for Zingano here. She needs to win and win impressively so the Miesha Tate doesn't slide up in that spot ahead of her.
We've seen Zingano and Tate before, and that was the Ultimate Fighter 17 finale last April. Fight of the night, went in the third round before Zingano won. You know, it was supposed to be Zingano and Rousey Ultimate Fighter. You remember what happened there. Yeah. So we never got the Zingano fight. Now she's coming back. Now she's 100%. She wins here. I have no idea what they're thinking if they don't book Zingano Rousey next.
I agree with you, but I'm saying she needs to not give Amanda Nunes a single chance in this fight. She needs to prove that she's number one and keep it and earn it. You know, you don't want her to go out there like Benson Henderson did and get cold cocked and just beat up.
Yeah, or Rashad Evans holding on to the number one contendership for how long?
Over a year.
Yeah. You know, I think Zingano is definitely winning this fight, but on the other hand, shit happens, pardon my French. It would be a good fight to watch.
It will be. So,
regardless of who wins, who loses, Zingano fights are always exciting.
Yeah, I agree with you, but I think we're running a little long on time, Peter, so why don't we go ahead and get to the news?
Well, the one fight on the prelim I did want to
know you want to talk about Patrick the Predator Cote, but make it quick.
Oh, well, Patrick Cote's fighting Stephen Thompson. I'm excited for Cote. That'd be a good fight. But the fight on the prelims, if I had to pick one fight to talk about, has to be Dominic Cruz making his return against Takei Mizugaki.
They did not give him an easy fight. That is going to be a very... Takei Mizugaki is no pushover.
God, that's going to be a great fight. That's a fight that's a pay-per-view fight, but we've made that argument before. Fights that belong on the prelims against fights on the main show. We always talk about that.
They're using it to sell the pay-per-view. They want people to watch it and say, wow, what a great fight. I'm going to buy the pay-per-view now.